The first time I heard about an oligarch, I was scrolling through news feeds, and it was about an oligarch that was mysteriously had fell out of a window in Russia. And I was like, an oligarch? What is an oligarch? And I looked it up. Oligarch's a very rich business leader with a great deal of political influence, particularly with reference to individuals who benefit from the privatization of state run businesses, industries after the collapse of the Soviet Union. We're seeing oligarchs in America today. We're seeing people that have so much money be able to influence those that are elected. You see, it's the money that rule the world, not the people. The more money you have, the more power you can get. We are over a week in the 2024 election, and you have an elected president who's a convicted felon, someone who in the last presidency lied over 30,000 times. Now, I'm not about to get political because I can be about this all day. But I'm wondering with the American people, why? Why? It amazes me how someone who has money, it amazes me how someone who has, let's say now, power controls the world. Well, at least the United States so far. You know, when we are born into this world, some of us are not born with a silver spoon in our mouths. Yet we have millionaires and billionaires. Well, let me just rephrase that. We have almost billionaires who control the countries, control the world. And someone like me, someone like you who lives check to check, or who has a little bit of savings but still have to rely on their job and hope that they retain their job to make a living in this world, in this country, we don't have the power to make things be right when it comes to our president elect. You know, people say, oh, Republicans are corrupt, Democrats are corrupt. I can agree with that to a certain extent. But there are still people in our political offices that do try to help someone like me, someone like you, maybe. And there's another political party that tries to block that. There's another political party that stokes fear into the minds of the people. They coerce them in a way that they vote against their own interest. I can remember the time when I was a staffing manager, and I had several different accounts that I had to staff employees with. And I can remember the day where it was a high volume day, and my temporary employees, some of them didn't show up to work. And the person who was over one of the accounts that I partnered with staffing, this person was ticked off. I mean, angry, mad as hell. We were down maybe 12, 15 employees at the time. They weren't paying them much either. I think it was like $8 an hour. And this individual came to me and said, I am X amount of people short. I need people right now. I need you to call your office and have them call people to come into the office, come into the building, because we need this help. And he said, I need you to do this, and I need you to do this now. And I looked at him. I said, who are you talking to? I said, when you talk to me, you need to talk correctly. I could have lost my job. But I told him, I said, you need to come to me correctly. We can't just go grabbing people up off the street to try to come in here and work. Working conditions were bad too. It was hot in the warehouse. It's chaotic. People all over the place, not much direction. You see, when you are an employee for a company that have over 300 employees there, you're treated like cattle. You're replaceable, quick, fast, and in a hurry. That's how society looks at us, working class, as cattle. We're easily to be replaced. But what if it runs out? Working for a staffing company was a challenging feature. It was. But I learned quite a bit when it came to the workforce and when it came to uh, the the higher ups, the managers, the CEOs. They could care less. They could care less about your well being as long as the job was done. Some of the jobs in the accounts that I worked for didn't require a lot of brain power usage. It was just repetition. And so there were times where people were replaced quickly with someone else that would do the same job. Man, that day, I will never forget that day. There was no humbleness. You know, we work to live, and also we work to die. I mean, the retirement age is 65, 64, maybe, depending on how much wealth you gain. But that retirement age is getting later and later in life. So from, let's say, 18 until 65, you're working only to get maybe a week or two off of work. Maybe you get lucky and you get 3 weeks. As our oligarchs, our CEOs, our owners, they can take vacations however long and whenever they want. They can do business remotely too, at a beach somewhere, at a resort in another country. As we work to the bone, you know, the minimum wage in a lot of places, a lot of states in the US, is still 7.25. Can you believe that? 7.25. If you are an adult and you're getting paid only 7.25 an hour, more than likely you're working a second job as well. Where's the quality of life in that? You see, the rich, they will continue to get money and they will continue to get a lot of money where we're still strapping for breadcrumbs. We're still scraping for whatever salt that is on the ground. The rich get 200% bonuses, 150% year in, year out. Their bonuses, 6 figures, hell, sometimes even 7 figures. we're lucky enough to get a $200 bonus. Better yet, we'll get a gift card, a $50 gift card to some restaurant, or a $50 Visa card for our bonus. That's if you're lucky enough. You have to meet a certain metrics or quota to get a bonus. You have to hit a certain number and be consistent with that certain number for a bonus. These oligarchs, they don't want to give you, time and a half after the overtime. Can you believe that I work a job where if I work over my expected 8-hour schedule, I have to call into a department so they can adjust my schedule and add however long I went over my job, my hours that day to my lunch. Overtime is dead. It is. If you have a job where you get overtime after 40 hours and you get paid that extra bit of money that you worked hard for just to pay your bills, good for you. And I'm not going to complain. Listen, I'm not going to complain. I am grateful for many things, but I just have an issue with working for overtime, but can't get the overtime. And get this too. Get this. If I worked at a company, and I'm going to tell you, I didn't work at many jobs. Like I said before, I haven't worked a lot of jobs, a handful of jobs, um, maybe two handfuls of jobs, but these were jobs that, they were stepping points. But I worked a job where overtime was granted or allowed, but it was straight time. It wasn't time and a half. It wasn't double time. It was straight time. So if you got paid $12 an hour and you worked 55 hours in that week, those 15 hours will be paid at $12 an hour. Yet those that are in power, those oligarchs, they receive their bonus, and it's amazing how much they get. More in my lifetime. $2 million, $200,000. Their employees get a gift card, a gas card. Hey, yeah, we get you a gas card. You can use this when you're coming to and from work. You'll have gas for a couple of weeks. Oh, I tell you what, I'm lost for words. I am. I'm honestly lost for words. Money is destroying our world. Money is definitely destroying the U.S. I'm going to just be completely transparent on that. It's no longer the people's choice in regards to living and having a better life. It is the richest choice on how you live. It is what they call the oligarch's choice in how you live. Poverty, it's no person should be living out in the streets, basically. Case in point. Poverty is rampant. It is. Just looking at the World Population Review here, population below poverty level. I'm going to throw off a couple of states here just to talk about. And this is by population too. Of course, the more people you have in a state or in a city, where the more people you have, the more you're going to be stricken with poverty there in those areas. So you have a lot of people who um, live in New York. There's going to be a big population of poverty. California, 4.7 million. Texas, 4.1 million. Florida, 2.8 million. New York, 2.6 million. Ohio, 1.5 million. Pennsylvania, 1.5 million. Illinois, 1.4 million. Georgia, 1.4 million. North Carolina, 1.3 million. Michigan, 1.2 million. And I can go on and on for each state. I'm not going to put you in that hole there. Oh, there is a party that honestly I feel does not have the interest of the working people. And there is a party that has some interest of the working people. Do you know that the Republicans oppose paid sick leave, paid family and medical leave, universal child care? And let me talk about universal child care. As a single parent, not myself, but I'm just saying, as a single parent, there are two things that the parent has to rely on. Child care is one, and schooling. And they have to figure out how to work, drop their kids off to school, and then their kids go to a daycare after school so they can work. And universal child care would definitely be beneficial to many Americans here. Many. I think there are, we may be the only country, I may be wrong and I'm not going to look it up, but we may be the only country that doesn't offer universal child care. A government system that has child care where I don't mind paying a little bit of taxes for, because parents, when they're taking their kids to school and they have to work 10, 12 hours and they're in a warehouse or distribution area and they call for a mandatory overtime, and that parent is trying to figure out who can come and get their kid, you know, not everybody has somebody to help them out. Just to be honest with you, not everybody has someone that they can call and say, hey, can you pick up Johnny from school, and can you watch him? I have to work 2 more hours after my shift. There's a party that is destroying the American society. No wonder why the mental health issues and depression is high in this country. And yes, I'm a little frustrated. I am. I'm frustrated because we live in the richest country, yet it's all for the rich. It's all for the oligarchs. Republicans oppose universal pre-K. Education is important. If you don't agree with me on that, you don't have to. But I'm honestly going to tell you, education is very important. Right now in our country, education is falling, and it's not from the teachers, it's from political talking points. Education is falling. You can kind of blame it on some of the parents too. But the environment of politics is destroying education, whether it comes from public education, private education, charter schools, magnet schools. Republicans wanted a tax increase for corporations and the rich. I remember my wife and I filing our taxes, and we'd usually get a return. Here lately, we get no return, and we had to pay the government. While Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk get a payout. We had to put more money into their pockets. Republicans opposed student debt relief. Just imagine a system where you relieve the stresses of people who have to pay for student loan bills. I understand they went to school. They decided to go to the secondary education. They decided to go to college, like myself, to learn. And you might complain about, oh well, they went, they should be paying. Just imagine student debt canceling out, and that person that is renting becomes a homeowner. That adds more wealth to our country. Just imagine that person, that student debt was canceled, and now they're able to go to the grocery store. They're able to go put more money into the economy, basically, because when we're shopping, when we're going out and buying things, that is putting more money into our economy because we get taxed on that stuff that we purchase. And guess where that tax goes? Goes to the military industrial complex. That's where it goes. Oh, Republicans opposed the child tax credit. The child tax credit that will put more money in parents' pockets to be able to add more to the economy and also be taxed more to give to the military industrial complex. Look up how much money we spend on our military every year in the United States. Look it up. If you've never looked it up before, you'd be amazed at how much money that we take out of different systems, like they're going to try to do with the Department of Education, and how much money they put into our military complex, and then go and compare it to the top 10 countries. Compare it. I'm done ranting. Subscribe to the channel. My podcast will be a little bit more on the lighter side eventually, but there's just some things on my mind that I need to get off my chest. I cannot believe the path that we as Americans, the United States, is going, and I'm praying for everyone. I'm praying that we're not destroyed. And I'm not saying destroyed by from another country, destroyed from within, because we keep electing people that continue to add to the destruction. Subscribe, like, comment. This is the Just Listen podcast.